Hi, it's Paula, and this is the Whoever Holds the Stone show, but you will notice we don't really pass the stone around. I'm here with Richard and Dennis, and of course my son Tom on drums. And I'm in a kind of funky mood today because I had a lot of people in my life give me bad news or act in a way to me that I felt was not loving. So I'm kind of like feeling like I don't matter as much as I wish I did.
Wow.
You know, so I'm going to read this poem that I wrote. I'll read because in my book that I wrote, I always give a little not synopsis, but a little reason for the poem. And this one is called I Am, an Ode to Irritation. And then the before part is, I'm in the process of becoming perfect, even though I find perfection boring. Actually, I recently read that people who are irritated by small things are idealists who cannot believe that they are in a world where everything does not go exactly the way they want it to. So that was
Wait, is this your
that's not
prelude?
the poem. That's a prelude to the poem.
Okay, let me know when you start.
Okay.
Because I love the prelude already.
I know. So, these were kind of, because these are like therapy for me, my poetry. So I figured I should give somebody a synopsis of why I wrote the poem. Okay. So this is called I Am, Ode to Irritation. I'm uncomfortable with myself. I am uncomfortable with the rest of the world. My own words are like bad children I have raised. I am embarrassed of my connection to them. This morning is quiet. My soul is not. Bats have gotten in and are frantically beating against the cage of my ribs. Fish die and are floating bloated in my brain. I am disinterestedly watching myself decay like I guard myself in a dungeon. I throw myself scraps, but do not care if I am nourished. Just that I am fed. It's one of my most negative poems. And Greg actually, the first time he read that, it was like, whoa.
So you say, I do not care if I am nourished, just that I am fed.
Yeah.
So when I was working on a project once with a friend, he said, can we go and get something to eat? He said, it can be anything, because my stomach is totally empty. And that's sort of like what you're doing. Well, you're saying, I don't necessarily need nourishment at this point. I just need something in my stomach.
Yeah, and I think it's the analogy is for my, I put in the text that I sent you, I'm having an existential crisis.
I found that fascinating.
Yeah, because I feel there may be something wrong with my approach to the world that I don't see, that's causing this detachment, this pulling away from me. And it's possible. You know how we don't see those things in ourselves, and unless we have a really good friend who is willing to take the chance that you might punch them in the nose, that you may never see it. That just like when Greg told me that I had to stop saying fuck in the kitchen. He said, you can't get so upset about every little thing that happens in the kitchen. If something falls, you have to, you have to look at it. And he said, because when you do it, you get over it really fast, but it affects me for a long time. And I didn't know that. I really didn't know. I didn't realize he even heard me. I thought it was all me. Yeah. And so when he told me that, I was able to change my behavior. But I can't change a behavior I don't know I have. So that's where it comes in. It's like there's something wrong, but I don't know what it is. It's a Dylan lyric, right? There's something wrong. Mr. Jones, there's something wrong here, but we don't know what it is. And I can't put my finger on it. And I think it may be that I'm being talked bad mouthed by a member of my family. And it's creating tension between me and my grandkids.
So whatever's being said, they are portraying you in a way that the listener thinks is real.
Well, right. Or else they don't want to be disloyal to their father and take my side. Because,
Yeah.
so I can't tell if it's me or if it's something else.
Right.
And so it's frustrating. And so today and plus, I was just having a bad, and then I realized, I said, oh my God, I'm doing the show tonight. And then I had asked Pam at the thing, and she said she'd come if she was back in Buffalo, but apparently she didn't get back yet. But Dennis was nice enough to agree to jump in the car with me and go.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second-rate guest.
No, I didn't have anyone really invited as a guest this week because there's been too much going on.
Yeah.
So, and I've told you I've wanted you on the guest as a guest.
I know.
We've discussed this at different times at coffee and so forth.
Many times.
Yeah.
Remember when Sal was showing his video here, and then at the end of it, everybody applauded, and he got up and he said, "I want to thank all the people who helped out," and he put you at the bottom of the list.
No, he didn't.
He said, "Even Paula, I would like to thank."
No, it was
After
yeah.
Greg said, "What about Paula?"
Yeah, he said he thanked you because he said I learned so much from the people I worked with, and he thanked you.
Yeah.
And he thanked, and I
Greg.
got at the time I wasn't as centered as I am now, and so when he said it, I felt put down.
Sure.
Because he didn't say me, and we were all working together. We were a pretty strong team.
Very strong.
So I remember saying, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, like about 25,000 times until, no, I didn't say it at first. At first I was just like flabbergasted that he left me out. And then Greg said, well, what about Paula? And he says, oh yeah, even Paula. And that's when I went off. And I mean, I was very angry.
So that's an example. When you stormed out, he was baffled. Like, what did I say? See? So that would be an example of him saying something that got perceived differently than what he intended.
It's true, but he does not have a very high opinion of women. And so I feel, or me, I mean, he's said other things about me that in the, before that, it wasn't the first thing he had said to me that made me uncomfortable. So I just wanted to, he wouldn't, if I said something to him, like if I gave him direction for something, he would never take the direction from me. He'd always ask Greg. And Greg was the one who told me, go over and tell Sal to, do this or, and sometimes it was me because the mic would be in the shot.
Yeah.
So
Right.
but I think I've grown a lot since then. I think it was because I felt that my part was not appreciated, and I felt that was consistent in my life. I felt unappreciated, and I could have laughed that off. I should have. Maybe I could now, because Sal is not important to me, but the important people in my life now are making me feel insignificant.
Well,
something happened to me about 2 years ago. I had one of my last sister was in death throes.
Yeah.
And after she died, I learned about it not directly from her kids. I learned about it from another relative who called me sympathetically to tell me about they're sorry to hear my sister had died, and I really took offense to it that I wasn't one of the top 4 people.
Yeah, the siblings. Yeah.
It's a good parallel example.
Yeah. And so I let one of the people who did know that I was upset about it. And it really affected my relationship with, with her now. So, but
I totally know the feeling.
yeah.
I had a friend on his deathbed, which lasted roughly 2 years, and he was so weak, he couldn't get out of bed to look at the computer. So I had to start writing him paper letters because you can hold paper in your hand while you're in bed. So I was doing that every few months, and sometimes he would tell his wife, "Go and tell Richard this, write back to him, Obviously, he's not going to write a letter,
Right.
and that worked, but then. No response. And so finally, all these no responses. And then I got a response. "Hi, Richard. This is Pat, Stan's wife. Stan's been dead for over a year."
Oh, my.
Can you imagine how insignificant I felt?
Yeah. So it's not a. I kept thinking I was being petty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't let that bother me. But I think now that you're both telling these stories, and I remember you telling me about that one, and you were really hurt.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I should. I mean, expectations are tricky, and it's not so much expectations. It's just if you are having a relationship with family members and you are doing your part with them, or just like you were writing letters to this guy, probably hardly anybody was in touch with him anymore.
Correct.
And so, you just get the feeling, well, my efforts have been for naught,
That's boy.
Yeah.
That's writing into the void.
Yeah.
So I developed a little phrase that I use with people when they don't respond. "I have something to say to you, but before I write to you, I want to make sure I'm not talking to the coffin lid." That always gets a response. That always does, whenever I write that to
That
people.
sounds like something my mother would have said, though. I remember she'd get people, she was older and she was she was fun to be around, but she was also kind of difficult to be around. And she had this one nephew who came to see her once in a while, with his wife. They're nice people, but and so they came over, my mother's sitting on the porch, and instead of saying, "Oh my God, how nice it is to see you. Thank you so much for coming over." "Oh my God, I thought you were dead." And then people don't want to come back.
You mean because she said that to you?
No, she didn't say it to me. She said it to the people who came to visit her, who were going out of their way to visit with an elderly woman who wasn't so much fun to be around all the time.
Well, she was communicating to them that she reached out to them and they did not respond.
No, she wasn't reaching out to them. She expected them to come and visit her.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, that's different. She
Yeah.
wasn't calling them and trying to get in touch with them. She was just sitting around saying, "I'm the matriarch here. I deserve,
Yeah, that's like self-centeredness.
Yes.
That's like when I wrote to my friend Bruce, Paul's brother. I said, "Oh, it's July. It's your birthday today. I just want to let you know you're in my mind." You know what he wrote back? "Thanks, but I wish you would do this throughout the year." And I thought, if you don't reach out to me, how am I supposed to know? Same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're self-centered. You think, I need all this.
Yeah, I have,
Well, that's what I was accused of being self-centered. It says this isn't the person I texted about my feelings.
Yeah.
Said this isn't about you.
Well, isn't that almost like saying to you, you should have read our minds?
yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's so this is like this is a human reaction that I shouldn't feel that I am being too needy, or I like this. This is a conversation about emotions that we usually don't really have on the show. So I think that people who, I try not to expect people. And I wrote this line in the Sweet Jesus movie, once you do something and expect a return for it, that's commerce. That's not that's not giving. That's commerce. And I always try not to expect anybody to. If I want to do it out of my heart, I do it, and I'm not looking for somebody to do something for me another time. That's not how I think. And so I always think, you have to delete but the thing is too, if you do need someone, if you reach out to someone and then they say no, then what's the next step? You have
to honor their wishes.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say, well, this is not a big request. You have to just say, okay, I get that. But I'm weird about stuff. Even if I ask somebody to do something and there's even the slightest hesitation, I believe that I have to take back my request because I know they don't want to do it at that point.
That's fascinating.
No. That's I don't take things that way, because there could be all kinds of reasons why they're hesitating. How can I fit that into my schedule? Mm-hmm. What is the appropriate thing to say in response? I
guess that might be because you do tend to think before you speak, whereas I don't. If somebody asks me to do them a favor, I say immediately, yes, I'll do that for you. And then if they say to me, it's got to be done on this day, I say, well, let me see if I can arrange my schedule. Because if people don't ask for favors that often, if you think about it, they don't. Mm-hmm. So I always feel like if you're asking me, you must really need me to do this. Mm. I don't think I've ever hesitated if you've asked me for something. And and I feel that's, I guess, though, because I don't stop and think first, well, when do you need this and when does it have to be done?
Well, you have to consider that some people just don't blurt out a response. That I consider everything I say before it leaves my mouth. Mm-hmm. I try to do that because you can say the wrong thing or a hurtful thing or who knows what. But it shouldn't be taken.
Well, I'm not as like that as much anymore, because I think I have kind of figured that out. But there's like a person who will hem and haw because they want you to understand what a big sacrifice it is that they're doing for you, and I don't like that either. Mm. That hemming and hawing, that. Mm. I guess. And that's because maybe they need to feel that important or something, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to read that.
That isn't what you were describing a minute ago, though.
No, but I'm saying right. I still respond badly to that. Yeah. But now I give people at least a chance to explain, why they didn't say yes right away.
Well, here's my take on that. And I'll describe a cartoon for you. Panel number 1. Man, I feel like shit today. Panel number 2. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. People have layers.
Yeah.
They have layers. And what you're doing is you're looking at panel number 2 and you're saying, okay, that's the outer layer, but what's going on in the inner layer?
Yeah, I do try. You know what? There's after reading all these books about childhood trauma, I have located a behavior, lots of behaviors that I have that are due to this. But with childhood trauma, you tend to try to read the person's mood constantly, like everyone in the room. That's why it exhausts me to be out in big groups. I'm constantly reading the mood of everyone in the place. And I think there's a part of me that takes personal responsibility for people's moods.
Mm. That's called being hyper empathetic.
Yeah, and I try, and I've been really good about changing that, because Greg now has low periods, and I realize it's his illness, it's not me. Mm-hmm. But in the past with relationships, if somebody was mopey, I always felt I had done something, was my fault. You know, so it's something you develop when you're in a childhood situation where you've had trauma, because you're always trying to keep your parents from going off, you know, like bombs, like your mother, like you try to humor them in a way to keep them from going off into that place.
Yeah, I'm definitely a panel 2 person. You know, I don't.
You're the person.
Panel.
You're the person who says, "Oh, it's fine. Everything's okay."
Yeah. Why the hell would you want to know?
All right. Here's a true story. My friend Kathy came up to me once. She said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm okay." And she said, "No, I want to know how you are doing." And no one ever said that to me before.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you gave me panel 2. Now let's go to panel 1.
Well, you could give them. You could change tax, but how far can you go then? That is a question of limits. You know, how much do you really want to know?
Right. Interpersonal communication.
Yes, I'm texting Connie. She said that she was doing yes, but I would like you on the I would like.
So
you,
I have another tactic when I write to someone and they don't respond. You know, the first one is, am I talking to the coffin lid? You know what the second one is? I write back to them, and I always, in every message, even on Facebook or in a text message, I put to and their name so that they know I'm talking directly to you, okay? This is meant for you. It's not a mistake I made where I intended to send it.
Yeah, because sometimes people do send it to the wrong person.
That's right. Years ago, someone said, wait, are you directing this to me? And I thought, I'm going to clarify that. I'm always going to put their name down.
Yeah.
So you put down to, and then you misspell their name. And then you say something trivial. Watch how fast they respond. They will instantly write back, oh, what's the matter? You don't know how to spell my name anymore? Ah, you did read that message.
Those are the little tricks of because you have a lot of written communications with people.
I do.
And not everyone responds in the same.
So when my friend, the Prez, his name is Sal, so we call him the Prez, because his last name is Prezioso.
Yeah.
When the Prez wrote to me and he said, do you ever get lonely? And I wrote back, I said, how can you be lonely when you have the written word? And that is so true, because I'm constantly corresponding using the written word with people.
And you're constantly having people come in here to do shows. You've got so many interesting people.
That would be personal, you know?
Yeah.
But like at 4 a.m, I mean, people are writing to me, I'm writing to them, and it's really, it can sustain you. The written word can sustain you.
Yeah. Letter writing was, did you ever write letters? Were you ever a letter writer?
No, but I'm a texter. I mean,
same thing.
Text is the
modern form.
Modern form of it, and I do it every day and frequently every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you understand.
It's nice that the instantaneous nature of text, that you can say something even though you're not with a person.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are on the same page. Me, I used to like letter writing. When I lived in New York, I saved all my letters because I thought someday, in case I ever became famous,
sure,
somebody might want to publish my letters. Anyway, I write letters, and I used to write letters, and I would take a lot of time. I would sit there and I'd think about, okay, what happened? What was significant in my life? And then I would, I'd weave a little story around it, like, this is why I think this happened, and now I'm going to be doing this, and now tell me about what's happening with you. How did that, like, I'll have the letter. How did that job interview go?
Right.
Was that, I know it, but you do this with.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
How does that job, and how did you decide to take that job, and the whole thing, and it would be pages of written correspondence, and I would fold it nice.
Yeah.
And I'd put it in the envelope and I'd address it. And I would put a nice stamp that I think was appropriate for that person on the letter. And I would mail it off. Depending on where they were, sometimes they were in Hong Kong or something.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't get it for at least a week or 2 weeks. And then they'd read it and they would do the same thing. They would read my letter and then they'd make notes and say, oh, well, that's interesting the way that happened.
Yeah.
And then they'd go back and say, well, how did that work out? And this is what's happening in my life. And I wouldn't get the letter for 2 weeks. And so things had happened to me in those 2 weeks and that I could write to her about. I'm thinking of this one particular person,
Sure. Yeah.
Josie. I would write to her and things would happen in my life.
Yeah.
So I could write about those things that happened in the last 2 weeks. But now I found with emails, somebody will write something and I'll respond to it and they'll respond, but nothing's happened. I mean, I that level of communication, yes, questions and answers.
Mm-hmm.
You, on the other hand, have found a way around that because you discuss things that happen in the news. So every day something happens in the news. So
Yeah.
you'll write about that
Yeah.
and you'll look for the other person's response.
Right.
So you've come up with a fix because it always pissed me off that I would get an email and then I'd answer the email and I'd get an email answer right back and still nothing had happened enough for me to say anything in that 3 seconds time.
Well, we're living in an age where the ability to communicate is lessening. I think it has to do with this thing about constantly being engaged with the phone.
Sound bites.
Yeah. So, for example, this happens very frequently. Someone will just send me a link. That's it. And then I always say the same thing. I write back and I say, before I click on that link, I need to know what you found valuable in it. Like, get them to start writing about what they think. And surprisingly enough, there are people who will take offense to that. And they will write back and they'll say, why do you care?
Why did you care?
Why did you
Why
care
did you
enough to
send it in the first place?
Like, why? Yeah, they'll say to me, why do you care what I think? Just watch the link.
Yeah.
And I thought,
I thought you might be interested. There's an implicit.
yeah,
I thought you might find this interesting.
yes.
Yeah, people
With a-
send me links all the time and I don't necessarily look at them.
So that, to me, that opens the door for being engaged.
Yeah.
And I can say to them, well, we live in a society, blah, blah, blah. And I'm trying to get people to relate on a one-to-one basis instead of through mediation of videos. So James Walker all the time, he just sends me links.
Yeah.
See, and that would be an example.
Yeah, he does to
Now,
me too.
but yet my friend Sharon is the one who said, why do you care what I think?
Yeah.
That's very revealing.
Well, because I do.
Yeah, like, don't we live in a world where no one cares about each other? Why are you so different?
Yeah, I find that my time to communicate like that is limited. I've got a lot going on. Between watching the kids. It used to be I'd watch the kids 2 days a week. Now I watch them 3 days a week because one of the other grandmother has another grandchild from her children because she was the step grandmother. And so I always give the other grandparents a break because it's not that they're older, but he's older, and the wife doesn't drive anymore. She's got some health problems. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on them. So I take the kid. Besides, there's a limited amount of time I'm going to get to spend with these kids before they go off on their own and I become a distant memory. So I want to spend as much time as I can with them while they're still interested or while I still have a reason to be there. So that's a big thing. And then his mother called. She called me yesterday.
Okay. This is the other grandmother.
No, this is Greg's mother.
Oh, I see.
From the assisted living. She called me and I was not planning on seeing her this week because I've got a lot going on. I got too many things on my plate and she doesn't have a doctor's appointment this week. So she said, "Oh, I've been thinking about you and thinking how nice it would be if you picked me up when we went for lunch and shopping."
She's lonely.
And
Yeah.
well, she is. There's a lot of she is, and I know that the other people don't go, and I do feel responsible to go there, like usually once a week if I can. But it's like I mean, I told her I would see her this week, but she won't remember because her short-term memory is gone. So she wouldn't remember. If I had been there the day before, she wouldn't have remembered, and she's done that. And I tell her I was there yesterday, and she doesn't remember, and then she gets very frustrated.
Of her 3 sons, do they all not visit her?
Well, Mark can't. Mark's in a group home. He has schizophrenia. He doesn't drive.
Yeah.
There's no way for him to get to Lockport.
Yeah.
And the
Dean?
other son, Dean, Dean is he's in that relationship with that woman who's very sickly, and he works full time.
She's got a medical condition or mentally sick?
Both.
Oh.
So he's got a lot wrapped up in her, and so he doesn't. He could. I'm not gonna say that I think that it's impossible for him to visit her. I just think that it's difficult. It's difficult to go and spend time with somebody who has absolutely can't have a conversation because they can't remember what you just said. It's difficult. I'm doing it because I feel like she is, I really feel like she has no one else. And Greg will go with me if he's off on the day that I'm going. But it's hard for him to go because his mother wants, even if I have a side conversation with someone at the restaurant, I don't know why I'm here if you're going to be talking to her.
Oh,
She's bad.
Wow.
yeah.
She's brutal. But while I'm conversing with her and while I'm paying attention to her, she's not a problem. It's this thing. I don't know. I keep trying to hold it in place so it doesn't make that noise, but I don't know.
When you were doing that, though, it was affecting my headset. Isn't that interesting?
That's
And
weird.
this
yours
one
too.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom, all of our one channel goes out simultaneously.
Yeah. Okay. If I hold it like this, I've been trying to keep it in one position.
But does anybody? Do either of you ever watch C-SPAN?
Sure.
Okay. I just don't know who watched. No one ever admits to me or tells me they watch C-SPAN. And there was the other day there was this historian, a Civil War historian on, and she was researching talking about this archive of letters between a man and a woman, and it was like 300 letters, back and forth to each other, and they were really very interesting.
Yeah,
to follow this whole conversation.
To find something like that, personal correspondence. I love, my favorite book by John Steinbeck was his personal correspondence, his letters. I found that to be the most fascinating book. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Once again, Tom, all of our one of our channels goes out at the same time. Isn't that interesting?
It's magic.
Paula thinks that if she moves a certain way.
I think I'm controlling it with this thing. Although I also think that so I don't know what's going on.
Is that like a divining rod?
It's not really this thing, I don't think.
Can you make it rain?
No.
So during the Civil War, you're right. I have noticed this too, that letter writing was absolutely essential. And people have such a need for the image that if you were a photographer and you were corresponding with somebody, as people did during the Civil War, you would sell photos with the sign above them pick a photo that looks like someone you love. So you would buy that, not because it was that person,
Yeah.
but that looks a lot like the person who I love.
Yeah. Huh.
And then you would write in the letter, I look at that picture, even though it's not of you, it reminds me of you. And then the person would feel comforted who you're
Yeah.
writing to, you know?
How dare you?
Yeah,
but they were a really interesting couple. You know, they were different completely on different sides. She was an abolitionist, and he was a pro-slavery. It was really,
Quite a interesting correspondence.
really.
Which is compatible with what's happening today. How do you deal with a friend who has opposite political views?
Right.
It can be difficult. You know, I told you, Kathy told me I had. What is that, Tom? Do you know? I keep trying to think of. What do people say when you're an anti-Trumper? They say you have Trump something or other syndrome.
Derangement.
Derangement. That's the word. She told me I had derangement syndrome today, and I, you know, she said it in a pretty. I told her about the Gronk AI, the
Okay.
one that it was saying bad things about Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And so Elon Musk went in and reprogrammed it to be more even on Hitler. But when people were asking it questions about Hitler, it was only saying the good stuff that Hitler did for Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I took it off my phone. And that's when she told me I have derangement
Well, you know,
syndrome.
that's an interesting phenomenon that shows you how the right wing works. Because that started out as, look at people who support Trump and the skewed view that they have of the world. Such as you pointed out, Trump is the greatest president who ever lived. Look how fast he got out the COVID vaccine. Oh, are you going to take it? No, it was rushed. See, they don't realize that they have this conflicting set of views.
The contradiction.
So that's the derangement
in their
syndrome.
belief,
Yeah.
Well, you know what, the right wing? They've repurposed it to, you misunderstand Trump.
Yeah.
And even Trump himself says that.
Yeah.
He says they must have Trump derangement syndrome. Like they misunderstand me.
Yeah. So, you know, I was a little put off by that, but that's so the whole day has been going like this. So the whole day has been, you know, like shattering my worldview, like, and that tense, you know, existential angst.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So I think I found what the problem is. It's this little microphone with the sock on it. Because when I moved it,
Oh, that's a light. So
when I moved it, everything stopped. It stopped
Interesting.
doing it.
Interesting. We're
I'm not going to touch it
We're
again.
gonna remember that. If it happens, move the light.
I pulled it out a little bit, so it's not doing it. But
Oh, I know why. Because it's in there with a whole bunch of other wires.
so
And when you
it
pulled it pulled one of the other wires.
it probably made a adjustment to the wires.
Exactly.
But so yeah, I am reading some stuff. I just finished Oh Pioneers,
Who's that by?
Willa Cather.
Ah.
I read My Antonia or My Antonia. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Was that from her too?
Yeah, I'm falling deeply in love with her writing. I think that she has a real understanding of human nature and why people, their motivation, why people do what they do. She's phenomenal. Like John Steinbeck, because John Steinbeck is the same way, and that's what I liked about him, his understanding of human nature and motivation. And she wrote this beautiful book, and in the book, she has this really strong woman character who takes over the farm when her father dies, and she runs the farm. She never marries. And her friend from childhood comes back to the area, and she ends up marrying him. But their marriage is a marriage of love, friendship, love, and she describes how beautiful that is to have that kind of sensible love is what she calls it, where it's not, it's not passion. You're not throwing each other down on the bed. She doesn't say that, but I'm filling that in. But I really liked her definition of this kind of love that's in later years for a companionable love. So anyways, it was beautiful. The book is beautiful. It was, I highly recommend it. And now I'm listening to, what am I listening to? I have to look at I lose my train of, so I am going to, it's something else that Henry James, The Turn of the Screw.
Mm-hmm. That's a very famous novel.
Yep.
Yeah, this novel, it's a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
But in the midst of this ghost story is a story about pedophilia.
Ooh.
They don't say the words. He just writes about it as this grown man spending too much time with this young boy, and he writes about it in a really masked way, which I think people did back then. But it's really good. I love Henry James. I think Henry James is, I've read a lot by him, but I've never read this. It's like a novella. It's short, and that's one of the things I've been picking out shorter books so it doesn't take me as many times to renew it, to get through it. But
Henry James had a brother, William. You know anything about William James?
No, nothing.
So William James became a professor of philosophy and wrote books about philosophy.
Oh.
And the older brother, William.
Yeah.
And then Henry felt like he was being overlooked because he did not have this philosophical type mind.
Yeah.
But he had his own perspective on the world. So that's when Henry started writing his novels.
Honestly, after reading O Pioneers, I am certain that I could never write fiction because I could never break someone's heart like that. I cried through that whole book.
You could never break someone's heart.
The readers get so emotionally involved with these. Everything would turn out rosy, and it would obviously not be a very good book because there'd be no tension. There'd be no. I would write a book about everything working out right.
Wow.
And you can't really do that. She killed off several characters, and when she did, I knew it was coming, and I looked it up just to take the edge off.
Yeah.
And I cried for like a half an hour. It was awful. She killed off several people that I was really nuts about.
Wow.
And if I wrote a novel, it would have to be a happy novel. There'd be nothing bad happening in this novel.
Don't ask me to buy a copy.
Yeah, but
you wouldn't like that either.
No.
It's interesting because filmmakers, there are some that are willing to do that, to kill off someone who you like, and then as a viewer you go, oh. So they did a remake of the Penguin from Batman from the Penguin's point of view. And you sympathize with him through all 8 episodes. And then in the final episode, he does something that you realize he's scum. This guy is not who I thought he was. And it's such a letdown.
That's how, in the second book of my second book of essays, in my essay books, I put warts and all. I tell the truth about what happened and how it happened. And some of my friends have told me that's hard to read because of that, because they can't imagine that I had to go through these things. But in my book, when I talk about Dick LeBar, and he was the father of my boyfriend from high school, when I talk about him, I was nuts about him. I wanted him to be my father. My father I had a stepfather who I hated, and Dick LeBar was charming, and he sang when we would go out to bars, and he would just sing along with the jukebox, and he was charming and he was wonderful, but he was a dog, and it was heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking to go through that, understanding that I was wrong, that he had fooled me. Well, he was a con man. That's why he had been in prison for 17 years. He was a con man. He conned me, and that was heartbreaking. There's nothing worse than a violation of your trust. And that's, and that's why in relationships, when people cheat, it's very hard to get back that trust. If it just is. I mean, I've seen it work. My sister's marriage, but it's hard. It's hard to get back that trust once you lost it. Anyway, yeah. So this has really been a weird episode for us. We have 14 minutes left. Do you have something on your list?
Akutagawa.
God bless you.
Does that name mean anything to you?
No. Does it mean anything to you?
Nothing.
Full name, Ryonishige Akutagawa.
Okay.
Okay, so there's
Japanese?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so. And he is the one who wrote the novel that the movie Rashomon was based on. And I don't know if you know about Rashomon, but it's a classic movie. The same story told from 3 different points of view.
Oh, I think you recommended that to me.
It's the first movie in the 50s that ever did anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, you have imitators that have, done that. But so when Kurosawa made that movie, he just based it on the Akutagawa novel.
Yeah.
So Akutagawa was very prominent novelist. Well, he has a book called A Fool's Life, a novel in 51 chapters. And each chapter, well, here's what chapter 1 is. Chapter 1, self-portrait, why I call myself a fool. Then you get to understand he's talking about his own life. Number 2, chapter 2, being mocked as a small child by the bullies in my school. Okay. Chapter 3, the first time I became aware of my mother's mental illness.
Wow.
Okay. So, you and then chapter number 4, how my mother's coldness toward me affected me personally.
So it's basically a memoir, but it's written like a novel?
It's I'm about to tell you the ending here, okay? So, like, the next chapter, getting in a fight with kids at school and being humiliated. Next chapter, fearing the ghosts in my house in the middle of the night. Okay? But then he says something like, the joy at going out in summer and catching fireflies. Next chapter, the first lie I ever told because I didn't want to get punished. So you could see how deeply he is like diving into himself toward this whole novel. Chapter 51. Oh, incidentally, there's a chapter in this book called Going Out on Night Walks and Reflecting the Whole Time on What a Failure My Life Was. That's exactly what a certain person said to me recently.
Someone said that about your night walks?
About his.
Oh.
Said, I went for a walk the other night and I couldn't stop thinking about what a failure my life was.
Oh,
Isn't that
geez.
something?
Boy, that's
So the final chapter, my image of myself is starting to dissolve as I drift into the void. He took an overdose of barbiturates with the last page in his typewriter and he died.
Wow.
So now if you were Japanese living in Japan, would you want to read that?
I want to read it now.
Because they revered him so much that they wanted to read it.
Yeah, well, I want to read it because
See?
it sounds fascinating.
So, and then David Foster Wallace, a contemporary, he did the exact same thing. He wrote his final book called A Pale Flower or something like that, and hung himself with with it all stacked up on the table next to where he was hanging.
If the window wasn't open.
That's right.
Wow.
So some authors, they want to go out like that, you know.
What was it? was it that based on these 51?
I would, well, since
I mean,
David Foster Wallace was
I don't
very
know.
educated. He
Okay,
probably knew about this.
Knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just they just had the a Kurosawa movie at the North Park Theater,
Which one?
The Hidden Fortress,
Oh.
and
What'd you
never
think?
saw it before. It was marvelous movie,
Yeah.
and I recommend it to
To me, but I didn't go.
right. I did, and I gave you a shot.
I know we always recommend movies to
Yeah.
each other.
Well, that's interesting.
And it was one of the interesting things about it is George Lucas
Yeah.
based the Star Wars on this movie.
Wow.
You know, and after you see that and you think about Star Wars,
Right.
you see like there just one example. There were these two peasants who were I'll go back. It was about a princess who there was a war going on, and there was a princess who had to be brought back to a certain place, to assume her rightful role as the ruler of that place, and there were these two peasants. So that's Star Wars right there. The whole
I can
it's
see
a
the
story.
similarities.
And there were these two peasants who constantly bickered with each other, and they were
robots.
The robots, exactly, exactly. So it was just amazing when I read about the movie.
Yeah.
I just had to see it. As I mentioned the Star Wars and George Lucas connection with it.
Yeah.
Are you okay with filmmakers doing remakes?
Depends. Brian wants to know who the Japanese guy was that wrote the book.
Oh, Brian, his name is very hard to spell. So I'm going to message it to you.
Okay, so he'll send you, Brian. He'll send you the name. I have seen good remakes or a different take. I don't like when they just do it because the people that are going to movies now didn't see the first one, so you just want to fool them into thinking it's a new idea.
True.
I don't like that, but I don't mind if they remake something and it's got a different twist.
Good example. There's another Kurosawa movie called High to Low, and it was an excellent movie, and the premise is very simple. A wealthy person is an industrialist, and he's at kind of a crossroads. All my fellow board members want us to start making an inferior type of shoe, but because if we do, we'll get a bigger profit. I don't really like that idea because the quality of our shoes is so high. I'm going to feel personally like I'm doing something wrong. I'm selling an inferior product. And so what happens then is he gets a note or he gets a phone call. I have your son. You have to give me $10 million or whatever the equivalent is, and I will let him go. And then he puts down the phone and he says, I don't know if I could live without my son, but if I do that, if I do that, that means I got to start selling the inferior product, and then my stock will go up by 10 million and I could give them the 10 million. So you see the dilemma?
Right. He has to make a decision on what's more important.
Real quandary.
Yeah.
So so then he contacts the police, and the police says, look, here's what you should do. You should borrow the money and then put it in a briefcase the way they wanted. And then when we go to exchange it, we will catch them. Because there's really no way you can exchange money without it, right? So so that's the plot of the movie. And Spike Lee decides I'm going to remake that 2025 style. And Denzel Washington is the record company executive.
Oh, I think I saw a trailer for this.
And his board members are saying to him, you need to loosen up on your standards of who gets signed to the label. You're signing too many people who are unknown. We need to start selling brand names that everybody knows, that are like celebrities and are doing songs, because we have a market built in for that. And he goes, yeah, but it would be against my principles. And then he gets the phone call, we have your son. Now, this is the real dilemma in both movies. While the police are telling him, well, you got to put it in a briefcase and then we'll show you how we can track it and everything, who walks in the door? His son. And they go, what happened? We thought you were with your friend Johnny. Johnny is the servant's son. And he said, I was. And we were at the playground and everything. And I said, oh, I'm hungry. I got to go get something to eat. And they must have taken Johnny. So now the servant looks at the industrialist and he goes, a few minutes ago you were willing to bail out your son, but like now it's my problem and you don't want to have anything to do with it. What kind of a human being are you?
Oh God, yeah, that is a real. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I can see that.
So it's very clever the way that they did the remake.
Well, that's something that's good.
That's sort of like what George Lucas did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what my question was going to be to the two of you. Is Star Wars a remake of The Hidden Fortress or not? I mean, is it different enough?
Right.
Even though the characters are the same and the journey is the same with the princess.
You know what? If you talk to any somebody that studies myths, there's only so many stories, and they get remade over and over again. There's a set.
Patterns. Yeah.
And that pattern that the Japanese movie was made after, there was probably a story hundreds of years ago that was taken from. Yeah. So these things are just the repetition. But the thing is, they're good for us to be reminded of these tropes because they're part of human nature, and it's thought provoking. And I don't think it's degraded either way. I think that both are valuable,
That was my conclusion. They were different enough, different way of telling the same fable.
Yeah, and I say to aspiring filmmakers, go ahead. You want to do a remake? Go right ahead. Yeah. They just made the 14th remake of the Count of Monte Cristo. Got a 12-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. And then I watched it. I said, it is a very good movie. You know?
Because it's how it's filtered.
In itself,
it's filtered through the minds of the director. And then, of course, once the actors get the script, it's filtered through their minds.
Yeah.
So it's
how well the story is told.
Yeah.
And then there's they do different slants on it. So this year there's a new remake of Frankenstein. It's getting rave reviews.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
And it's about it's not about so much about what the creature does after the creature's created. It's about in the making of the creature how everybody in the family is telling Dr. Frankenstein, "You really want to do this? This is not the best thing for you to do," and his internal turmoil.
Yeah, I imagine that anyone who's building a monster is going to have to take some flack from their family members.
The Maltese Falcon. If I say that, you probably think of Humphrey Bogart. That was the third remake. Nobody even remembers there were two previous ones.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, and a lot of movies come from books, and every single person that reads a book is going to have a different take on it.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody else could read O Pioneers and think, oh, this is a outdated, tripe. But, to me, it was an emotional journey with people who had to make hard decisions, and so everybody's going to bring something different. If I made that movie, it would be a tearjerker. If somebody else made it, maybe they would concentrate on something else.
I predict the day will come when a filmmaker remakes Don Quixote, not from the point of view, but he was a madman, but he was a visionary who was seeking to make the world a better place.
There might be a book like that. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I feel much better now. Thank you.
Oh.
This did bring up my spirits. Thank you, Tom. You're a wonderful son.